Calling to order at 7:04 p.m. the Granada Community Services Director. I keep doing that. Granada Community Services District regular board meeting. And can we have a roll call, please?
Director Clark?
Present.
Director Dye?
Here.
Director Randall?
Here.
Director Grant?
Here.
Director Marsh?
Here.
Also present is Legal Counsel Bill Parkin, Assistant General Manager Herb Atmore, and General Manager Chuck Duffy.
Okay, welcome everybody. We'll start with general public participation. Public members may comment on matters under the jurisdiction of the district that are not on the agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Do we have any comments from any members of the general public? Seeing none, we will move on to our regular meeting agenda. First up is Parks and Recreation Activities. We are joined by Ray Rizzavi, our project manager for the Granada Community Park and Recreation Center. So Ray, do you want to give us an update?
Definitely. Thank you, Director Marsh and Board of Directors. Give you a little update on the status of our reports and what we're doing in terms of all the activities for the Granada Community Park and Rec Center. Happy to report that we have received the cultural study report hot off the press last week. We've been reviewing it, have some minor comments, but in general, it seems to be in good conditions. And now we're going to make just minor changes on it and return it to for final modifications probably sometime in the next few days. The same thing with biological study that was released. I believe we have it for about a couple months. We had reviewed that, and that was also in good conditions. We didn't have any concerns as a result of that study. Just minor modifications on the size of the storage tanks for the sewage treatment that we have underneath the park. But under that, that's also in a good status. We have started the noise study, and we should expect that probably sometimes towards the end of January or beginning of February, according to the consultant. We have a tentative schedule for the release of the draft, including once all the studies have been completed for sometime in early April. The draft, once it's submitted, will be for review for about 30 days. And I contacted the San Mateo County and let them know about our schedule as to whether they're ready to, sometimes in May, take our review our draft and schedule it for the Coastal Development Permit in the Planning Commission. And they agreed that that would be the appropriate time, and they're ready for that as we will be. The most important news that I have to report today is we've been meeting on this new Measure K application for grants. As you know, this Measure K is a 2016 passed for half-cent sales tax for county services. So we're applying for this. This covers 3 years for the design and planning and environmental clearance for the community park and the rec center. We have been meeting. We've met about 3 or 4 times so far with Townsend. We have filled out the application. The last meeting we had was yesterday. The application is due on January 5th. And once we finalize the application, we will report back to you next month as to the status of it and how much we applied for and what is the timeline for us to hear back from. So we have a lot of hope that this is a good expenditure of our time to put on this application, and we hope that we will be successful in getting a grant from this measure. So we have high hopes for this one.
And how much is the grant?
We haven't come up with the amount yet. But as I mentioned, next month, we will give you a status of what we came up with. We are doing the calculations at the moment as to what would be appropriate for us to apply. And it's for the period of 3 years. So we will be, if they apply, if they approved our grant, it would be given to us in a 3-year installment. but we will report back to you next month as to how much we're applying for. Director
And
Marsh.
Ray, what's the activities that the grant is meant to pay for? I'm sorry if you
This is for the community center, activities related to the park and the community center. And there's a list of activities.
Yeah.
As far as the activities that we are performing, this would be for design.
For the more detail on the design and on for the permitting and so on?
Correct. Everything that's covered up to putting the project out to bid for construction.
Oh.
All the planning and design, clearances, etc.
So responding to any questions from the county or others involved in the process?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Would that cover the consultants who have to respond to any questions from the county on any part of the process? Sorry, I haven't been through this before, so I have no questions.
The big chunk would be to prepare the plans and specifications and the project estimate, the bid package, basically. That would be the biggest chunk. Applying for the various permits, that would be also included. Any coordination with the county, any coordination among the consultants, any coordination with the county planning, it all included, everything up to the bidding of the project for construction.
Okay, great. Thank you. Director Grant?
I'm wondering when we'll be able to see the cultural resources report and the biological assessment. When will we be able to see those?
Chuck, Hope, do you want to?
Chuck, you're muted.
Wasn't talking, but
That's good moved.
I think Hope, what did you circulate today, or have you not?
No, I didn't speak about that. I mean, as far as my understanding is that we want to get all the different reports together so that have everything as one package that we would be ready to, put forward for CEQA, and that's when we were going to circulate. Because right now everything's in draft form.
The draft form, yeah.
So until the comments have come back and so forth, I don't know that we're ready to circulate.
Okay, so the board will see it when it's available to the public. Is that what I'm hearing?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Ray, any more from you at this point, or any other questions from the board of Ray? I see Matthew's hand.
It's been brought up to me that, the district's had Parks and Rec Authority for a long, long time now. Actually, it was 9 years, 2 months ago. And the gist of the question was, so far we have a skate ramp and a big billboard out on Obispo Road. When's this park going to get going? So is there anything we can do to speed things up? I know, Ray, you're working in 7 different directions all the time on this because that's what it takes. But I think the constituents paying attention are getting eager.
Yeah, no, I think Ray's doing a good job of kind of herding the cats, if you will, and getting people going in the same direction. And I think, Ray, you had said at our last meeting that kind of the end of February, we'd have a application into the county and whatnot.
Application for
the permitting.
For the coastal development permit?
Yeah.
Sounds like we made now.
Yeah, we have. I have been in communication with the county the last few months, and the latest information I have from them is obviously they wanted to have an application for the use permit as well as processing the coastal development permit all at the same time as one package application. So once we have these reports done, and we have the draft environmental document prepared, we are planning to have it transmitted to the county at the same time we distribute for the public comments. So currently the according to the schedule I have from Montrose, we're planning to distribute this in April with all the studies completed and all the comments incorporated, and then go to the county in May for the adoption of both the coastal development permit as well as the use permit, both at the same time. So April would be the date that we're planning to distribute it all and file the application.
And the CEQA analysis.
The CEQA analysis, correct. So the CEQA analysis would require a coastal development permit to be issued by the county. So the CEQA analysis, which would be the negative declaration, and any impacts would be mitigated. Hopefully, we won't have much impacts to be mitigating, as well as the application for the use permit would go together to the county. And the county has responded back that they are ready for that, to receive that in April and then schedule it for the Planning Commission in May. So that would require us to go to the Planning Commission and do a presentation, probably a PowerPoint presentation with the current plans and what we are intending to do, and seek the approval for both the environmental document, the CEQA document, issue the CDP, and also issue the use permit.
So that May Planning Commission meeting would be the next significant opportunity for general public comment.
April, we will distribute the draft. So in April, they would have 30 days. That would be all the regulatory agency as well as the public to comment on the document.
Okay. Can we
In
try
April.
to aim that for the in advance of the April board meeting, so that the board has a chance to review and ask questions on that draft?
Absolutely. As soon as we have all the documents in order and we're confident that this is a good document to put forward in, then we will obviously get it to the board so the board could review it in advance of releasing it as a draft document. So the board would have a chance to say, okay, this document is good for release for the public as well as for the agencies to review.
Okay. I think that's given the weight of it, if the timing isn't perfect, we can schedule a special meeting so that we've got a good opportunity to look at the draft and discuss it.
That would be appropriate, yes. Thank you.
Anything more from Ray or any other hands up? I was just going to thank you, Fran. I was just going to say, do we have any questions or comments from members of the general public? So Fran, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, Fran.
Well, I'm follow up on what Matthew just asked. As I asked last month, were you able to check to see if you could put any seating out so that, I think Chuck was saying, oh, well, you'd have to go to the Coastal Commission, everything. I think he was being facetious. I don't think putting seating out in the area that you're planning to have the green space it's an improvement of the property. We're not developing anything. We're not building anything. Just put some out so that now that the rainy season has come, maybe it'll grow and make and be softer and be an area, at least one small area that kids can play on or we can call a park. If we wait till next April and May, it's going to be dry season again. It's going to be all dead again. And that's it. And then another year goes by. So I'm just wondering, what can you do anything? Were you able to ask and find out, get any information on that? Have some part of the park we can use?
I think, Fran, I did walk across it. I reviewed your comments, and I'm not sure what you could do without grading it first, because it is just very lumpy, bumpy, and probably a risk of a lot of sprained ankles if we tried to get people running around on it at this point.
Well, that's okay. Grade it and then put the seed in.
Oh, there we need a permit.
Yeah, we don't have a use permit yet, and we don't have any county permit, and it's a question of liability. So it's not
liability to grade and to put seed in, and
you need a permit for that.
Everything's a project, Fran, so sadly enough, but that's just the truth of it.
Well, it's amazing. The kids got away with putting a ramp in that was never approved. They just did it and it got approved. And I can't imagine that planting some ground seed that people can use for at least one spot in that area, a whole park, that's got to be approved. I don't think anybody's going to object to it. But anyway, that's it. I know. 10
Thank you,
years
Fran.
it's going to be.
Yeah. I mean, there's a
It's
process.
frustrating.
If you want to have any temporary facilities there's a process, and then there's a permit process through the county, and whatever the board wishes, we're willing to pursue. But this is a separate process for any temporary use permit and any kind of grading permit. So
Yeah,
that's a
I
separate.
think we don't want to slow down the momentum we've already got right now. But thank you, Fran. You are right to keep pushing for speed.
Thank you.
Any other comments before we move to Hope for recreation activities? Thank you, Ray.
My pleasure.
Hope?
Wow.
Yeah, we don't have a whole lot to update right now. I have reached out to Michelle Dragony and we're planning on meeting in January, and I want to work on sort of scheduling out the year's plan to bring in various events and some classes and walks and so forth. And working on the Measure K application actually was really useful because I had to go back through all of the old Granada Gazettes and look through all the past class listings. So that was actually a great way to refresh my memory on what the district has done. The plan is I would hope by the January meeting, actually, I'm going to have a schedule sort of laid out for everybody to look at and review, and then we can start implementing. Of course, we're limited by weather to some extent, but other than that, we're ready to go.
Okay. And we'll have an update from the Open Space Trust education program in January as well.
Yeah. So in January, Haley Peterson is going to join us and present on what the Junior Land Stewards program has done to date and what they're planning for the spring.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions or comments on Parks and Recreation? Seeing none, we'll move to item number 2, which is the annual election of board officers. Board officer positions include the president and vice president, which are elected from the board, a treasurer, which is our general manager, and secretary, which is filled by the assistant general manager. And by district bylaws, Article 2, we have these elections after the county elections officer certifies election results during election years or on the first regular board meeting held after December 1st on non-election years. So you have in your pack the duties of the board president. I won't read through that. It is mainly on helping set the agenda and managing the meetings. We did have a vote for LAFCO's special district representative, so I got to send in the vote on that. But other than that, you see most of what happens with these offices. So with that, I will open nominations for first for president.
I nominate Jen Randall.
Thank you, Director Grant. Do I see your hand, Matthew? No?
Yes, I'm really pleased with how things are going now with the status quo, and I'd like to nominate President Marsh for another term.
Thank you, Matthew. Any other nominations? Seeing none, I'll close the nominations. There's a process for this. And we can discuss. I'm actually quite happy with either nomination. I think this year was so crazy in the first half of the year that it took a while to settle in. So I'm quite happy to do it one more year through the end of my term. I'm also quite happy to support Jen.
I think you should keep doing it, Nancy.
I'd say I didn't know your level of busyness, but you did have to stand in on a couple times. But
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to look at it following year, but I think, you've been doing a great job and we're getting into the swing of things. So I appreciate the nomination, Joe.
Okay, I'll withdraw my nomination for Jen Randall.
that's all right. We love Jen, and we'd be happy with Jen. But I wasn't sure your busyness. But it really isn't. This part isn't the most taxing thing. I think the SAM board members actually deserve more medals.
Yeah, that's the part that terrifies me. That's the part I'm like, let's just keep that exactly the same.
Okay, we do need a vote in order of nominations. So, Jill, you withdraw your nomination of.
I will second Matthew's nomination.
Oh, they don't need to be seconded in this case.
You don't need a second. Oh, sorry.
That's what my instructions say.
Okay, sorry.
But I'll call a vote. So votes for myself for one more term.
Director Clark,
I vote for Director Marsh.
Director Dye,
Aye.
Director Randall,
Aye.
Director Grant,
Yes.
Director Marsh.
Well, yes. It makes it easier to facilitate the rest of this meeting because usually we hand over the gavel right in the middle of the meeting.
It's a little bit weird, yes.
Okay. And now let's open nominations for vice president for the next year. Barbara?
I'd like to nominate Jen Randall, Vice President.
Any other nominations? Seeing none, I'll close the nominations. We have one nominee for Jen Randall. Can we have a vote?
Director Clark,
Aye.
Director Dye,
Aye.
Director Randall,
Yes.
Director Grant,
Yes.
President Marsh.
Yes.
Okay.
You call me director.
I just wanted to do it for that one, just to
Madam President.
Madam President.
Yes. That's a little too fancy for me. Okay, any other comments? Any comments from the public on this item before we move on? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 3, appoint sewer authority mid-coast representatives and alternates and approve associated resolution. I actually, when I read the resolution, I found something I didn't know, that I think the SAM authority requires 2 reps and 1 alternate, but the district's bylaws require 2 alternates, so that if our 2 members can't make it, we always have a full contingent at the SAM meeting. So, and we should specify
twice in the past.
Okay, and we should specify the order of the alternates as well. So let's start with opening nominations for our SAM board representatives for the next year.
I nominate Jen Randall.
Oh, jeez. No. Nominate Director Dye and Director Clark. I nominate 2 people.
I'd just like to make a comment. I'm GCSD is slated to chair SAM next year, and I'm the one who's tapped to do that. So I would like to continue as the SAM representative.
Oh yeah, definitely reiterate my nominations of Director Dye and Director Clark.
I would like to make a comment as well.
Okay, go ahead.
It seems to me, so I don't attend the meetings, but I watch them as they're recorded. And I just can't make it to the meeting, so I'd be an awful fit for it. But I do watch them, and it seems like there's a very hostile, bitter undercurrent with a lot of snarky comments that I can't catch on the recording. And I think that the whole SAM board needs to be uplifted. And so I hate to tell you all this, but I went and researched everybody on the board: Nancy, Matthew, Barbara, Jen, your background, where you went to school, things you've done. And I found some really great things about Jen that I think she could lift this board up. And Jen, you know what I'm talking about. You have this great quality of being able to be a great listener and compromise. And lead people into the direction we need to go. You know this. And that is why I'm nominating you. Now, I know you may be too busy, and I know Matthew and Barbara are a wealth of information, but I do think that this SAM board is really, there's that bitter undercurrent needs to get uplifted somehow. And the only way I see it happening is if we push you in there, Jen. So that's my feeling. And, I'm going to be voted down for sure, but I just want to say that. Thank you.
I think Jen did a great job. I'll add on the meeting where she subbed, I think, for Matthew, did all the homework and added some poise to the meeting. But I'm hearing Jen say it might not be the right time for her. But let's say we have 3 nominations. And so we can vote on 3.
Quickly, I just want to say, Jill, thank you for saying such lovely things. I appreciate that. My concern is less about my time and more so that I think that, this is going to be a challenging year with everything going on. And I do feel like there's value in continuity and value in like the expertise that you both bring to this. But I don't disagree with you either, Jill. I sat in a meeting and I was personally blown away by the dynamic that existed in that room. I was disappointed and sad for the fact that my colleagues have to sit in that environment. It's not the best. So I will accept the nomination, but it's up to you all to decide. I'll leave it at everyone's decision. How about that?
I'll say that I'm perfectly willing to do another year at SAM. However, if someone were to say, I really, really would like to do this, I could step back. So,
yeah.
But again, I think the status quo has been functioning, so it'd be okay. And trying to do something, I totally agree with Jill's estimation of the atmosphere of the SAM meetings. And I really had to think about whether I would be willing to do this for another year, and I am. But I don't think the unpleasantries generally come from GCSD's reps.
I had been in the room once when I was an alternate, and it's a tough crowd with a lot of history, and it could use some turnover. But if the appeals court had upheld the summary judgment, I might have a different view because I think churn is sometimes a good thing. But given the series of events that, up to this point in time and what's going to happen over the next year with the way, particularly the Half Moon Bay reps play their game, I think having the history of what has come before for this particular year is going to be important. So I'm happy to support continuity of the current representation. I absolutely would support Jen as first alternate because I think she does make a difference in the room, although she did accuse the Half Moon Bay reps of posturing, but she did it so politely. They still reacted. Well, if we have 3 nominees, I do want to just honor all nominations and vote. I'm not sure how we do that. You can only vote for 2 people. That's how we do it. So we'll go through each nominee and you can vote only for 2 as we go through them. Does that sound reasonable, Chuck?
Yeah.
Okay.
We've never crossed this bridge before, but
But basically you get 2 votes.
Yeah.
Let's start with roll call votes for Director Dye.
Okay. Director Clark?
Aye.
Director Dye?
Aye.
Director Randall?
Aye.
Director Grant?
No.
Director Marsh?
Aye.
okay.
Okay. It's 4 and 1 as I heard it. I'm going to mix things up and let's go to vote for Director Randall.
Director Clark?
No.
Director Dye?
Well, I don't like being in this position because, yeah.
That's fine.
I would rather,
I'm not taking any of it personally. Don't worry. It's fine.
well,
I know you
I
guys.
think that having the history now is important. And I actually, just to say about my tenure is, I do think I avoid the nastiness and I have good manners there. I mean, I do think it's important. And so I'm a little I agree that there is a level of dissension among the board there, but I really am not, I don't feel that the GCSD reps are the major source of that in any way.
Director Dime, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I called a vote.
I know, but it's, I would love to support Jen, but at this point, I'm going to have to say no.
Director Randall,
No.
Director Grant,
Yes.
Director Marsh,
No, but come back next year.
Yes.
I'll just take all the roles next year.
Okay. We need to vote on Director Clark.
Doesn't think.
Director Clark,
Yes, we do.
Or,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Director Clark, Director Dye,
Aye.
Director Grant,
Yes.
Director Randall,
Yes.
Director Marsh.
Aye. Okay. Okay. Any other comments from the board or from the public on SAM reps? Actually, let me go before we do that. Fran, before we do that, I want to go on to alternates first. And
Well, Fran has her hand. Nancy, Fran has her hand up.
I see it. I just want to wait until we do the alternates and then come back to it.
I would take public comment before you finalize the vote.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Bill. Okay, let me do that. Fran, go ahead and I think you're
That's
muted.
what I was going to say. Don't you have to vote for an alternate? And Jen can certainly be the alternate.
Yes, that's our next step.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, Bill, I should have taken comments before the vote.
Once again, we're in uncharted territory. So,
Okay, let's go to SAM alternates. And I would like to happily nominate Jen as we have a first and a second alternate, and the order.
Let's do them separately. Can we do them separately?
Should we do them separately? First alternate? Okay, nominees for first alternate. I would nominate Jen.
Yes. I'd like to nominate Jen Randall.
I accept.
Any other nominations?
That's part of the notes.
No. Should any comments or public comments? No. Should we vote?
Director Clark,
Aye.
Director Dye,
Aye.
Director Randall,
Aye.
Director Grant,
Yes.
Director Marsh.
Yes. So that's anonymous, and we'll move on to, they don't come up often, but we have a second alternate for a reason. Do we have nominations for a second alternate?
I nominate Dr. Grant.
I'm glad to hear Director Grant watches all of those meetings. That takes some, I don't know, a glass of wine, I think. Any other nominations for second alternate?
I'd like to ask why Director Grant did not attend our closed session about the lawsuit tonight, which was a really important meeting.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I would like to know why you were not able to attend the closed session at 6 today, which was a really important meeting and important for understanding what's going on at SAM.
I had a personal matter.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other nominations or any other comments or questions? Do we have any comments from the public? Seeing none, we'll take the vote. Hope?
Director Clark,
Aye.
Director Dye,
No.
Director Randall,
Yes.
Director Grant,
Yes.
Director Marsh.
Yes. Okay, we'll move on then to item number 5, which is consideration of our representative and alternate to the San Mateo County chapter of the California Special Districts Association. I believe our current representative is Director Grant. I'm not sure if we have a current alternate?
Jen, I think, is the alternate.
Oh, yeah, she is the alternate. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay, we have nominations for the CSDA representative.
Can I just jump in really quickly and throw
Yeah.
one thing in there? I just wanted to say that I know that this group has been very dormant apparently for the past few years, but it does seem like there's some energy to bring it back. There was a meeting, because staff members are involved in that as well. And so there was a meeting a couple of weeks ago. Harbor District General Manager Jim Pruitt right now is serving as the interim president, and he has already scheduled the next meeting, which I marked on the memo, is January 16th at 7 p.m. Normally, this group meets about 4 times a year, so it's not a big time commitment, but there will probably be a little extra need for extra energy as they're trying to get it back off the ground. So just to be aware of that.
My impression is they fell apart during the pandemic because we used to get board member reports from the rep.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I didn't attend the last meeting. It was during work hours, and I emailed Jim and told him I can't do that. So the next meeting is scheduled after work hours. So if anyone's interested in taking that position from me, that's fine. And it will be, I think it's 7 p.m. now is they're going to have them, which will be nice. And I'm excited that they're going to actually have these occur now in the future. It should be great.
Are we nominating?
I
nominate Dr. Grant.
Yeah,
I'll support that.
Any other nominations for our representative?
Can we nominate an alternate?
We will after we nominate the rep.
Okay.
We do one and then the other.
Well, before we do that, can I just say that we have on our agenda the CSDA Special District Leadership Academy, and I will not be able to attend that. So that may influence who you want to represent you.
I don't think anybody.
Those are unrelated, Jill.
Okay, I just
That's
wanted to
kind of a seminar type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure any of the reps we've had have attended that. So, because this is the first I've heard of it, but thank you for the information. Okay, we have a nomination for Director Grant. Nice to hear that the local group is gearing back up because we used to learn some interesting things from them. So I'm seeing no other nominations.
Oh,
Go ahead.
having heard what Director Grant just said, I'd like to nominate Director Randall.
Okay, but I can't attend the 16th. Oh, yes, I can. Not the 17th. Yes, I can. Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Jen might be a better fit for it, and I'd be happy to be an alternate.
Yeah, okay, sorry, I can't, I wouldn't be able to attend the meeting the 16th, and if they're only meeting 4 times a year, that's probably not.
The meeting on the 16th is not part of the quarterly of these quarterly meetings. It's just to try, I think they're going to try and elect an officer, just someone who can actually then set some agendas and move forward and set the dates for future meetings.
Okay.
So,
Okay, as long as that's not a part.
yeah, this is not part of this is not going to be part of their normal meetings.
Okay.
Actually, just to make this fast, Director Grant, if you, having nominated, Matthew nominated Jen, are happy to be alternate, we could do the alternate nomination now at the same time and do one round of votes, if you're okay with that.
That's fine, and I can attend on the 16th in Jen's place.
So we have nomination for Director Randall for CSD representative, Director Grant for alternate. Can we do Chuck and Hope this in one vote?
Yes.
Okay. Any comments, further comments from the board or from members of the public? Seeing none, Hope, can we have a vote?
Director Clark?
Aye.
Director Dye?
Aye.
Director Randall?
Aye.
Director Grant?
Yes.
Director Marsh?
Yes. Thank you. This is like the most awkward thing we do every year. So thank you. Thank you everybody for playing so nicely. And congratulations everybody on your roles. And it should be another interesting year between all of the changes in the park and getting that submitted, and the next year with particularly Sam. I'm going to move on to consideration of CSDA Special District Leadership Academy. Director Grant brought this to my attention, asking both that it come to the board on the agenda and that perhaps we should designate or nominate somebody to attend. It actually is an option of a 2.5 day in-person meeting to go through all 4 of their leadership modules, or there are 4 quarterly online modules that one can attend. I certainly agreed. I had never seen it before. I agreed to put it on the agenda, and actually my proposal is that this is something that it could be beneficial to the board and to the district and to any member of the board who has the bandwidth to go through it. And so my proposal is that we approve this for any member who would like to attend either the in-person or the virtual sessions, and would be subject to our existing travel and fee reimbursement policies, and qualifies under our existing resolution for our ordinance for compensation for training under the resolution. So it would count as days of service for training as well.
I second.
Oh, I thought I'm just going to open it for discussion before that motion, but I did make that sound like a motion. So I'm just making that a proposal now and open for discussion.
Sounds great.
Well, does anyone want to go? That's the big.
Actually, I would like to go.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it sounds interesting. I'd like to.
I think Barbara should go if she's going to be the leader of SAM. I think it'd be a great experience. And I don't know if Matthew's interested, but
I saw Barbara's hand up.
Yeah, I'm interested in going. I actually did attend a CSDA meeting convention early in my tenure. I was able, it was in Southern California, so I had places to stay. So I didn't cost the district more than the registration. It was good. I went to workshops on a lot of different things. It seems as if this would be even more valuable because it's more targeted at training people for the board. So yeah, I think it's a great idea. I would like to do something like this. Depends on scheduling.
Yeah, and there's lots of options, so that's good. I'm interested in it too.
Yeah.
I just have to look at which one would be a better. Yeah.
It might be interesting to have 2 of us go at once too, because then you could kind of, back and forth and talk about.
Well, and whoever goes first has to do a report back to the board. So that will inform anybody who wants to go to subsequent meetings. But there's 3 different opportunities during the year to do it in person or online quarterly.
The motion is just to approve this, and we can decide if people sign up as time goes on, right?
Right. Okay. The motion is to approve any board member who so desires to attend the CSDA Special Leadership Academy either in person or virtually, and have that be compensated for travel and fees under the existing policy and compensated as days of service under the existing ordinance for compensation.
And Bill, is that good with you?
I'm okay with that, Chuck.
Okay.
And I think, I just lost hang on. I've just lost the feed from the room. So Director Grant, I know you wanted to second. I just want to wait to see if they come back. Because this happened before where you could see that flashing rainbow light, but we couldn't see you.
okay.
Well, we've got all the decision makers here, so.
That's right.
Let me just text Hope and see if they can hear us.
They're back up.
Oh, they're back. Okay, good. Okay, that was my motion. Director Grant seconded the motion. Do we have any further discussion from the board? Seeing none, any comments from the public? Seeing none, can we have a vote?
Director Clark?
Aye.
Director Dye?
Aye.
Director Randall?
Aye.
Director Grant?
Yes.
Director Marsh?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. This one I need papers for. We'll move on to consideration of approval of ordinance number 177, an ordinance regarding compensation of directors of the Granada Community Services District. First reading. The title of the ordinance is an ordinance regarding compensation of directors of the Granada Community Services District. And do we have a motion to waive by motion the reading of the full resolution or ordinance? I'm sorry.
So moved.
Dr. Clark moves to waive the reading. Is there a second?
Second. Oh.
Sure. Director Randall, second. Any discussion on the board?
Well, I'd like to say it only takes a minute to read it, and it's nice to have it in a recording. So that's my 2 cents.
Are we approving both expenditures?
We're approving first reading of the ordinance. I don't know what you mean by both expenditures.
Well, there's an expenditure to do it again in the review, and then an expenditure to do it in the.
Sure.
No, there's two separate actions. The one is to waive the reading of the ordinance, and the second one will be to approve the first reading of the ordinance. And then you can decide whether to publish it in both papers or just one.
Okay, I'm fine with waiving the reading of the ordinance.
Okay, we had any further comments on the first action? Waive by motion the reading of the ordinance. Dr. Clark made the motion. Director Randall seconded. Any further comment? Any comment from the public? Seeing none, can we have a vote?
Director Clark?
Aye.
Director Dye?
Aye.
Director Randall?
Yes.
Director Grant?
No.
Director Marsh?
Aye.
I'm sorry.
Second.
What?
She wanted to read it.
Oh,
She
you
wanted
wanted to
it to
read the
go
whole
on
thing.
the, she wanted it to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second is, and actually it is published on our website in the packet as well. And it will be published in the papers as well. Approve ordinance. So next action is to consider approving the ordinance subject to announcement after a second reading at a subsequent board meeting, which I believe has to be at least 2 months. So it'll probably be the February meeting.
Yeah, the 2 months is more of a timing issue than anything else. There's not a requirement in the government code. So basically what we did was we incorporated your comments from the last meeting, and Bill and I and Hope talked about this, and as our ordinance parallels or parrots, if you will, the government code. So there's no different wording from the government code than to our ordinance. The only thing we've added since our last meeting was that underlined section on page 19, which says basically when the SAM directors go to the SAM meeting, if they get paid there, they don't get double paid, if you will, by that. So, but the actual ordinance itself, sections 1 through 5, parrots the government code.
And it actually did require a report back to the board, written report back to the board in each of those 5.
Yes, correct. Yes. So, and
which was
I think subsection 1 is our minutes, which is obviously parroting a report, and subsections 2, 3, 4, 5 will require a report to the board.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the ordinance subject?
Nancy, pardon
Yes.
me, Nancy, could you take public comment first before, because this ordinance, should be vetted in the public. So I'd prefer
Yes.
that take testimony on the ordinance first before asking for a motion.
Okay. Do we have any public comment on the ordinance? And just for the public who haven't seen it, this effectively raises the day of service compensation for board members from $145 to $190 per day of service.
Correct.
Any comments from the public? Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve the ordinance subject to enactment after the second reading and all the required publication.
I'll make that motion.
Do we have it? I'll second it. I get to second something now and then. Any further comments from the board? Any further comments from the public? Seeing none, Hope, can we have a vote?
Director Clark,
Aye.
Director Dye,
Aye.
Director Randall,
Yes.
Director Grant,
Yes.
Director Marsh.
Yes.
Motion
And then
carried.
the last item, I think, is just a direction to the staff. Staff research publishing the public notice in the San Mateo Daily Journal, which I think Director Grant had requested, as well as the Half Moon Bay Review. The cost for 2 publications in the journal is $1,380. For the 2 publications in the review, it's $423. So the question for direction to staff is that we stick with prior practice with just publishing in the review, or do we do only the journal, or do we do both? Any views from the board? Go ahead, Director Grant. I think you unmuted.
Yes. I'm okay doing both. I'm not okay with just doing the Half Moon Bay Review because where do we get this newspaper? And it has to be paid for. So the San Mateo Journal is at every post office on the coast. It's free. People who are challenged financially will have an opportunity to read this. And I would like it to have as much exposure as we can get. And it doesn't seem like too high of a cost to accommodate all of our residents of Granada and not just those who have a subscription to Half Moon Bay Review. Thanks.
I actually am also persuaded by that. I've never picked up the journal, but it is something that is accessible to anybody who walks by a post office and other areas as well. And I think the publication subscriptions to the Half Moon Bay Review is about 1,400 households. I was surprised when I saw that it was so low, but it isn't as pervasive as I would have assumed it was.
It's also online.
Yeah, parts of
It's
it are
not free.
online.
It's not free online. You have to pay for it.
Right.
It's just the headlines online for free.
I'm okay with doing both papers, but if we get public comments on this, I would like the staff to ask them where they heard about it.
That sounds good. Any other comments?
Why do you want to know where they heard about it? Just curious. I'm interested too, but I just want to know
Well,
why.
because it's been said that nobody reads the review, and I am conscious that the journal there are put in the free box outside the post office normally completely disappear, but I don't know if that indicates that there more attention is going to be given to a subject like this because the paper's free. So I'd like, it's not free to us to put it in there. So I'd like to know how did you decide to comment on this?
Okay.
Which
Right.
I think probably doubtful that we'll get any comments, but who knows?
We don't typically. Okay, is that good enough for direction? I don't think we need a motion on that. Do we, Tim?
Barbara had something.
I just, one more comment, which is, I don't think anybody reads the legal notices in either paper.
I actually do sometimes, so I'll be the
I do
outlier.
too. I do too, but we're all in the middle of this. I'm just not sure that the public.
I can name 15 people who read it cover to cover every day just for these notices.
Yeah.
So
Okay. I find
that's
them
not
interesting.
true.
All right, so we'll publish it in both then.
Okay, great. Any other comments from public before I move on? Seeing none, we'll move to the engineer's report.
Does anyone have any questions or comments?
I just had one question on the CIP Project 3 that John said you're working on the budget for Project 3 is being reviewed by staff. My only question is that will that be coming in January or February?
Probably not, because they're doing the preliminary estimates for the design of it. So that's what we're talking about, not the actual project itself. Yeah.
Okay, so it just takes longer than that.
It's really phase 3. It's not Project 3, but yeah.
Okay. That was my only question on that. Any other questions or comments on the engineer's report? No? Saying any comments or questions from the public? That's actually the hardest part of this job, is to always remember to say that on every item.
You've got Bill, so.
That's why I have Bill here.
I'll remind him.
Report on Sewer Authority Mid-Coast side meetings from our dynamic duo.
Well, I had a meeting today. They're looking at, I think the same thing we're looking at, is shifting some of the funds to one of the newer public agency investment funds that gives greater rates. And we're encouraging them to develop more flexibility so that money doesn't sit in the checking account. So I think there's some good stuff happening there. Not a lot. A lot of what's going on at SAM is on hold because of the uncertainty about the funding issues.
That's certainly true.
Well, at least that's good to hear. That's a win. Thank you, Director Dye, for chasing that.
And the last meeting, we had a presentation about the revamped SAM website, and it did look. I really don't. It's hard to tell with just the presentation whether it's going to be easier to use and more informative, but it looked really good. It should be up in, as I understand it, two months, I guess.
Oh yeah, and one more thing.
They are going to use artificial intelligence chat on it, and I found that interesting. I asked a typical generic question, and it took quite a while for the artificial intelligence to respond. But I think it will be an improvement anyway. So, go ahead, Barbara.
Just one more thing, which is they have contracted with an engineering firm to look at the problems that happened a year ago during the storm with why it was that the entire capacity of the plant was used by Half Moon Bay, which Half Moon Bay kind of denies. Mm-hmm. So they are going to take a look at trying to figure out what's going on with the capacity issues at the plant and potential overwhelming of what's going on there. So
will that include, I know Chuck has mentioned in the past the meters, will that include really trying to, I guess it's a desktop, but they're really going to try to ascertain where the flow really is coming from?
I think it's more a technical analysis of what's coming into the plant. They're not going to be looking into the Half Moon Bay system. So it's just trying to look at the numbers of the rain and to correlate where the water was coming from and why. I mean, evidently their gauges are calibrated only to measure up to 15 million gallons. And yet it showed 17 million gallons coming through at one point, which they claim doesn't mean anything because it's only calibrated for 15. There's a lot of questions.
I ask about that immediately. How a meter that only goes from 15 mgd, how did it read 17? And they are recalibrating it, and I believe I heard they're going to recalibrate the same meter up to 20 million gallons a day, so that if it gets that high, we'll have an accurate reading. Mm-hmm. So,
and to some extent, they have
why this hasn't been done in the near past, I don't know.
The meter at the front end of the plant is called the partial flume, and it measures the height of the water going through a kind of a V notch, if you will. And so those meters are designed for certain ranges. And what I remember Kishan telling me, or Tim, is their meter only goes up to 15. Doesn't really matter whether it's 15 million, 16 million, 17 million gallons. It's a lot. So
How does it read 17 if it only goes up to 15?
Good question.
Oh.
because you actually, believe it or not, it's pretty low. You can stick a ruler in there and measure it if you wanted to. So
Yeah, that's basically what it is.
it's the accuracy of it, Jim. It's not. Can it measure it? Yes. Is it accurate perfectly? No. But again, 500,000 gallons one way or the other, right?
So it's precise up to 15 million. Above that, it loses its
I'm not
precision.
going to use that word precise, but it's more accurate.
And so I think this report is going to answer some of the questions that Greg Diegas has been asking about what happened with the overwhelming of the plant. That we don't really understand. There was a lot going on. The plant was flooding. Other things were happening as well. So just trying to get a better understanding of the dynamics and the various forces that affected the performance of the plant at that time.
Okay.
And it's not. I think it's like $150,000 study or something. 100 and something. It's not a huge chunk for Sam. I know it's a lot of money, but it's not a huge amount. But I think it's a good thing that they are going back to look at that, and they are working on their storm prep for this year. As you know, they've raised the berm. They've put a cement bag wall between the Kehoe ditch. They're putting sandbags around the electrical building. So they're doing some real prep work.
Great.
I think they'll be ready. The last two things that I would mention that came out of the SAM report was that our district flow for October was 16.72%, and Half Moon Bays is up to 63.58%. There are no maintenance service calls in the GCSD service area in October, and there were no sanitary sewer overflows, and we haven't had any SSOs in GCSD in the last year. So we're doing a good job.
Yes, we rarely have any kind of maintenance needs in our lines. So always call a plumber. But
Yeah,
it's good. It's our system is good. We should be proud of it.
I have just two comments from reading through the reports. One wasn't in the reports, but I thought the open house was really nicely done. Looked like a lot of people came for the open house. I had some neighbors that were on one of the tours with Tony and Tim, and they found it really interesting. I got there a little bit late, so Derek and I had a personal tour from Gabe, who was great. So really enjoyed that, and I really appreciate all the effort that Sam puts out there to educate the public on what they do and how it works. My other comment, Ben, is just to follow up. I criticized a while ago Tim's reports because he has a great sense of humor, and it's sort of gallows humor, and that coming through in his reports, if you don't know him and know the humor, could give you some lack of confidence. Just reading the reports. And as I read through his report this time, I thought, this is very clear. It's very straightforward. And I just noticed, I think for the second time, the different tone. And I really appreciate the straightforward, here's what happened tone in the report. I found it very informative and not scary.
Good.
Okay, any other questions or comments on Sam at this point? Seeing none, move on to item number 9. Last meeting we had Tom Carey come in and just inform us that he is selling parcels and including one that is adjacent to one that we own in Miramar, and just offered the opportunity to bundle and sell our parcels with his. So this item is to appoint General Manager Chuck Duffy as the negotiator for the potential sale of parcel number 048046120 over in the east side of Miramar. It's a 2,600 square foot lot, I think, and one that we would have gotten through foreclosure or something for non-paid fees.
Yeah, so we got this through foreclosure for unpaid assessment district fees. So I'm not, for the newer people on the board, you're just appointing me the property negotiator. I'm not going to make a deal. I have to bring that back to the board and whatnot. It just allows me to talk to Tom Carey and the other people and bring a deal to you all at some point in time.
Okay, any questions for Chuck or comments?
Does this
Seeing none. I think this needs a motion.
Yeah, we need a motion to appoint me a real property negotiator for that 048, 046, 120.
Before I do that, do we have any comments from the public? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? If not, Hope, can we have a vote, please?
Get every dime you can for it.
We're going to need it.
Straightforward, right?
I'm going to do a roll call vote. Ready? Okay.
Yes, please.
Director Clark,
Aye.
Director Dye,
Aye.
Director Randall,
Yes.
Director Grant,
Yes.
Director Marsh.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda, which includes the November 16th regular meeting minutes, the December 2023 warrants, the October 2023 financial statements, and the assessment district distribution number 5-23/24. Would anybody like to pull anything from the consent agenda? Seeing none. Do we have any public comments on the consent agenda? Seeing none. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Seconded.
Clark and Randall, any further comments? Okay. Yes, Director Dye.
I just want to say, note that we have funded the reconditioning of the skate ramp shows up in this accounting, and that's a good thing. I'm glad we did.
Yeah, much appreciated by the kids. Okay, can we have a vote, Hope?
Director Clark,
Aye.
Director Dye,
Aye.
Director Randall,
Yes.
Director Grant,
Yes.
Director Marsh.
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to committee reports. Any reports on any seminars, conferences, or committee meetings? Seeing none, I'm going to move to the attorney's report.
No report.
Thank you, Bill. To the general manager's report.
I've got nothing further.
Thank you. To the administrative staff report, Hope.
No, just to point out that Sam did a great job. Tony reached out when there was a manhole that had been knocked off, and he got out there and got it coned off right away. Called me that night just to let me know what was going on. And then the next 2 days later, he was able to go back and cement it into place. He put it back into place initially, but then he was able to go back and cement it. So that was taken care of in a very quick manner, which was appreciated because it's kind of a dangerous situation.
Yeah, the picture was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one more question.
Yes, go ahead.
I just want to thank staff for keeping on the parking in the parking lot of vehicles that don't belong there. I think our community appreciates the fact that we're keeping the view protected, and we do not want the dirt parking lot or the strip turned into a for sale spot for vehicles or for people deciding they need a free camping space. So they work well with the sheriff, and they're doing their best to handle situations that come up there. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. And one other thing I wanted to add, we are doing another little push with trying to keep fog out of the sewer during the holidays again. So if you're on Instagram or you're on Facebook and you want to make sure you're following GCSD and sharing those, we also now are putting them out in Spanish as well. So everything's going out in English and Spanish, and we're trying to just get the word out to everyone not to dump grease down their drain.
That's excellent. That's now being done in Spanish. I don't know why we didn't do this long ago.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Great. Thank you, Hope. We have 4 future agenda items. Moving on to number 18, future agenda items. Interim policy for the parking lot, update records retention policy, assessment district budget, dedication of main lines. Do we have any other suggestions for future agenda items?
Well, I haven't asked for a report on our reserves and financing needs for the near future.
Yes, and I am knee deep in that, Barbara.
I know, but it's something I'd asked for, and so I'm looking forward to seeing it.
All right.
Okay.
I know you're working on it. Thank you.
We'll put it on the list. Okay. Anything else before we adjourn for the rest of the year?
Happy holidays.
Yes. Happy holidays, everyone.
Everyone? Okay, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Aloha.
Fran? Happy holidays, Fran.
I was just going to say happy holidays, everybody.
Thanks.
Thanks, Fran. Same to you.
Same to you.